Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of What Has Changed Your Life. Today, we are going to talk about a fantastic journey of rediscovering self. So, my guest today is Jen, and she is a coach, she's a mentor, she's an author, and she's a speaker. And she is on a mission to reunite people with their emotional selves. Welcome, Jen. So nice to have you on another episode of What Has Changed Your Life.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you today.
So you've had a mind-blowing journey to get to where you are today. When we had a chat the other day, and I was just in awe of all the obstacles that you have accomplished to get where you are today and overcome all the different obstacles to get here today. Why don't you talk a little bit about your journey?
Sure. Like everyone else's journey, it started off pretty mellow, and then when I was 19, things kind of came to a head and things started to come together in a different way, and that's when I received my official diagnosis, which at the time was 7 different mental health diagnoses, and most of them don't have a lot of hope of ever recovering. Like they're not things that are supposed to be healed from. And
Mhm.
I accepted the diagnosis and I lived in that space for a while until I happened upon a path, like it just sort of happened. And without even really knowing how, I found myself healing and getting off of medication and finding resources that I was told would never work for me and that I now see work with other people. And so I started to get curious and be like, how the hell did that work? And then that led me to a path of now being able to help others who are in that space of believing the statistics instead of having hope.
Mhm. Now, was it, if you don't mind me asking, was it childhood trauma that you experienced? Was it what prompted people to start diagnosing you?
Um, so um, when I was, I mean, I always struggled with weight, but when I was 19, I kind of went off the rails a little bit.
Hmm.
And I became severely anorexic and bulimic. That came with depression, that came with anxiety, that comes with obsessive compulsive disorder,
Hmm.
self-harm. So I always say there are scars on my body that I put there. And one doctor even went so far as to tell me that, I'm just broken. Which is why unbroken means so much to me. And what do you do with that, right? When you're, especially early 20s at this point, your early 20s, and you've been to doctor after ologist, like every ologist that's out there, psychologist, psychiatrist, all of them. And they all kind of come to this consensus that there's nothing really wrong with you except that your brain's not working right. And we
Hmm.
can't fix it. And you don't seem to respond to meds. And we're sorry, but you're just going to have to learn to deal with it.
Wow.
Right.
That,
And that's a common story. That's a very common story.
yeah.
Right. The analogy that is used in the medical system, which is meant to make us feel better, and it
Hmm.
does, but it doesn't really get us all the way to healing, is the idea that in depression, kind of like a diabetic, your brain's not producing enough serotonin, and just like a diabetic needs insulin, you need some serotonin or norepinephrine or dopamine or whichever. And so we're going to give you some so that it sticks around in the space between the synapses a little longer, and hopefully that helps even you out. And that may be true, but then explain me.
Hmm.
Right? That
Yeah.
was where I started to question things. I studied psychology, I have a degree in psychology. I was in the system for years, so I know it quite well. And I believed that story of there's just something wrong in my brain
There's something
until
wrong. Yeah.
there's just, I just don't have enough of something. I got to take something. I'm like, that's great. But then how is it that I've been off medication for 10 years and never needed it again, right? How was I able to heal after 13 years of this and multiple hospitalizations and crisis teams and all sorts of fun? And how did I get here? And I found things that actually work, and that I'm like, why are people not talking about this? And so I'm talking about this.
So how
Right?
do you do, like, there's a lot of people out there that are in those situations similar to you, but how do you find that help? How do you even know where to look? Because you believe what you're told. You believe what these people, psychologists, psychiatry, social work, the whole gamut, you believe what they say. Of course, they're professionals. They took all these courses, have lots of plaques on the wall. Of course, you believe what they'll tell you. But what inside you changed to say, no, I'm not going to listen anymore. I'm going to try this. Like, how did
Actually,
you go there?
nothing in particular in that respect. But so what happened is I had, it's funny because my eating disorder started in a single moment. I could tell you the moment something switched, and it stopped in a single moment too. I can tell you the exact moment something switched. And I just had this moment of realizing that if I go down this path, I know where it ends. I
Right.
lost friends to eating disorder. It's 100% guarantee that that is for sure happening, and it's going to be painful and it's going to suck,
Yeah.
right?
So what was that switch? What was that switch that started it?
I had a really rough day. I was not any rougher than any others, to be honest, but I was in agony. People don't realize eating disorders are very painful.
Mhm.
And I was in exceptional pain, and I just had this moment of knowing that there's no end for this path and it's painful. And I had this thought of, what if I just choose a different pain? Recovery is going to be painful and terrible,
Yeah.
but there's something on the other side, maybe. This one's going to be painful and terrible, and I know where it leads. So what if I just choose a different painful and terrible?
Right.
And so that's kind of what got the ball rolling. And the one I'd seen some movie, I'm sure someone will know what it was, but I heard, and it's a common sentence, but the only way out is through.
Yes.
I held on to that I know that I will go through the pain and there's something better on the other side, or I can go
Mhm.
through pain and there's not so much. But I know that if I go through the pain, there's something on the other side, because recovery is painful. It's all just sucky at that time, right?
Right.
My body didn't know what to do with food. I had to relearn all this stuff, let alone the psychological side of it. So, right.
Yes.
And so I just chose a different pain and held on to the idea that the only way out is through. And that got me to a place I like to call a functional dysfunction, which is where a lot of people live. And we think, well, this must be the best it can get because they
Yeah.
told me this is the best it can get. And so I'm holding steady. I have my moments of sliding, but I'm mostly holding on for dear life and holding steady. And I'm just in this place of functional dysfunction. And then my anxiety went out of control and I ended up with a phobia of insects, which
Wow.
seems not that big of a deal. But in Ontario, summer, there's
They're
bugs
everywhere.
everywhere, bees and flies and moths, always something fluttering around.
Yes.
And so I got to the point where I wouldn't leave the house. Like, it was getting really invasive. Here I am, like 30 something years old,
Yeah.
and I need to go get groceries, and there's a bee somewhere in the vicinity, and I'm just standing in the parking lot in the middle of traffic holding my grocery bag because I won't go near my car. Right? It's funny, but it wasn't funny. It was
Not funny
horrible.
at all. When you
Not
have a
living it.
real phobia like that, it is downright terrifying.
Yeah, and there's no gap between, like, a butterfly would set me off, and I am a smart person, and I understand that a
Yeah.
butterfly is the symbol of, like, transformation and enlightenment. And the metaphor, by the way, is not lost on me, that the symbolization of enlightenment was what scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
It's and so when it comes to, I was able to get functional dysfunction with all the other stuff, but with a phobia, there is no gap between butterfly and I'm okay, I can handle this. It's just butterfly, and now I'm in the middle of the street and I don't know how I got here.
Right.
And so when it comes to phobias, there's two options. There's desensitization therapy, which means at some point they would put me in a room with a bug, and there was no way in hell I would ever pay money to do that.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Or hypnosis, which I did not believe in even a little.
Yes.
Not
A
even a
lot of people
little.
don't believe in hypnosis.
No, I thought it was utter horse poop, to be honest. I'd seen the stage shows. I'm like, no. I once volunteered for the stage show, and I ended up not working. So I'm like, no. But I wasn't going to pay money to go in a room with a bug, and I couldn't live how I was. And so I asked a friend of mine, she'd always been a connector in my path. And I'm like, Out of curiosity, do you know someone who does hypnosis? Because I didn't want to use like the yellow pages or Google to find some weirdo to scramble my brain. Like that's what a lot of people think, and that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And she happened to know someone, and I'm like, fine, whatever. And in one session, this woman nailed on the head what 13 years of therapy and a degree in psychology never came close to.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
it blew my mind. I didn't believe her when she's the first person who looked at me and said, "You're not broken. I can help you. Not I can fix you," which is a big deal. I can help you. And
Yeah.
I didn't believe her. I thought it was a scam. I thought it was wasting my money. I thought it was stupid. And I trusted the woman who referred me. So I'm like, if you think this is a good person and you have faith in her, I have faith in you. And I was shocked when 3 months later, not only was the phobia gone, but I was able to start to wean off medication.
Wow.
And I didn't expect
powerful.
that.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And I was like, I was told that wasn't going to happen. I was told I had a 12% statistical chance of ever being off medication, because every time you go on and then off and on and off, it lowers your chance of ever being off. So I had gone on and off enough times that they're like, yeah, you probably just need this forever. And so I was shocked when I started having these thoughts of, I think I'm okay, I don't need this anymore. And I actually was. And then I was like, how on earth did that work? Like I'm nosy and I'm curious and I like to know how things work. And so I took the training because I'm nosy and curious and a nerd. And I accidentally ended up working with my first client. It wasn't my intention. I was in marketing prior to this, and I liked it. It was good. And after 3 sessions, I was able to help her with a phobia of swallowing pills. And I think I was more excited than she was. It is, yeah, she literally would choke on an imaginary pill. And then after 3 sessions, I gave her little tiny sugar things that she was able to swallow. And it was wonderful. And I'm like, I can actually use my story to make a difference, because so many people believe what I believed, which is that functional dysfunction is the best you can get. Sorry, functional dysfunction. That some people are just born and they need medication, and that some people are just depressive or have anxious personalities and they are doomed to stay in that place. And so many of us are told that that's just who you are. Sorry. And I have experienced it myself, and it's nothing that incredibly special about me. It's with this, like, it really isn't. I see this with my clients all the time. And if people knew how easy it was to heal from depression and anxiety, like truly easy, no one would ever dare suffer. They really wouldn't. And so I just want people to know that even if this just sparks curiosity, like maybe there is a little light at the end of the tunnel, maybe there is hope. That's all I ever want people to walk away with. That's
amazing. I mean, to even be curious, to figure out, well, there's got to be more than this.
Well, I'm a nerd, so I like to learn.
And then go find it and come up, end up at hypnosis. I mean, that's amazing. Like, I would have been like, I guess this is just it. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people are like that. This is just it. This is just the way I am. And that's, I just got to learn how to live with it.
Right. I tried that for many, many years. And it doesn't work. It eventually, because
it'll catch up.
Well, deep inside, we know we're worth better than that. Whether we are aware of it or not, deep inside, we know that we are good people. We just don't trust that belief over all the stuff we've learned from outside of ourselves.
Right.
Right. And so just connecting back in with that and knowing how to be in tune with that is an important part of the journey. And the mainstream way of talking about it is hypnosis, but it's not the traditional what people think, I'm not going to stare at you and like,
So what is it? How do you hypnotize somebody?
I don't. Actually, in Ontario, the legal definition of hypnosis is all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So I'm just a tour guide. I teach you how to hypnotize yourself. And you do that all the time. You do that all the time. Have you ever driven somewhere and you get to your destination, you're like, I remember none of this trip, right? You're in trance. your conscious awareness has kind of gone offline and you're on autopilot. Well, when you're on autopilot, what we're talking about is your unconscious mind is working. And if someone were to jump in front of your car, you would respond. You're not gone. You're just not aware. Right. So anytime we're in our awareness, that's our conscious mind. And then the rest of the time, when we're just kind of on autopilot, which is like 95% of the time, means your unconscious mind's running the show. And that's where all learning takes place, all growth, all change. And so hypnosis, as we call it, is really just about connecting. It's bridging the gap between the head and the heart. Wow. It's the bridge. That's all it is. It's gotten, because people see stage shows, and what people need to understand about stage shows is, as someone who can run them and who has run them, I don't, because it's stressful. Oh my God, when people are under hypnosis, you have to guard the doors. They can do some weird stuff. It's fun for the audience, but it's stressful for the for me. It was stressful. I did not enjoy it, but I've done it, and everyone had a great time. But I purposely choose people from the audience who are already pretty extroverted. They'd probably do the stuff if asked to do it anyways. They're open to play.
Interesting point.
Yeah, right? Like, everyone's able to get drunk. Not everyone's going to be the one swinging from the rafters yelling "wee" with a lampshade on their head. But for a stage show, you want that person. You don't want the person who gets drunk, goes in the corner and cries about their ex. Right. Both are drunk, though. So everyone's able to get into the state because we're in it all the time. If you've ever watched TV or watched a movie and someone comes into, or you have a partner or a kid and they're watching TV and you talk to them and they don't even know you're there. Yeah, that's trance.
Tunnel vision. I call it tunnel vision.
Yeah, trance. Right? Their conscious awareness has gone offline and their unconscious mind's running the show. Trance. That's really all it is. And hypnosis is the mechanism. And really, it's just about learning how to talk nicely to yourself in an effective manner. It's using language to empower yourself. That's really all it is. The words you use change your reality. Yeah. And how to use words.
Absolutely, they do.
Right. And that's how hypnosis is.
Yeah. And the thing is, most people are brought up and they're being told things constantly about who they are, what they're going to be, where they're going to go. It's all in that status quo, right? So we're brought up to believe certain things about ourselves. Oh, you're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not enough. You're not worthy enough. You don't have a voice. All these things are constantly with that chatterbox in the mind. And then you get these anxieties, depressions as we get older, because that's all we're hearing. We don't see the good stuff.
And we don't realize that we can change that voice in our head. Yeah. We think that the feeling that we have causes the voice. It's the other way around. The voice causes the feeling, right? Yeah. And so excuse me, the reality is that every word you say out loud or in your head is basically a hypnotic suggestion to yourself. Right? You're creating a reality with your thoughts. And so you're hypnotizing yourself all the time. The question is, are you hypnotizing yourself to believe what other people around you told you, that you suck and that you're not good enough and all that stuff? Yep. Or are you hypnotizing yourself to believe what you deep, deep down know about yourself, but are afraid to let yourself find? Which is that, of course you're worthy, of course you're enough, right? That's the main thing. That's the only thing we can actually know about ourselves, is those things. And so using these tools is about reintegrating your awareness with the part of you that knows that you're wonderful, so that you can have awareness of your wonderfulness, as opposed to only awareness of the chatter. The chatter's up here. Right? The chatter's up here, and your awareness, your unconscious mind, that's where all the good stuff lives. It's also where we hide all the stuff we don't like about ourselves as well, right? So we need to clear stuff out. And that's
really take out the trash.
Gotta take out the trash. We all like to, put new strategies into old behavioral systems and then wonder why it doesn't work. Like I remember one of my therapists years ago told me to wear rubber bands on my wrist. And if I got the urge to hurt myself, I should snap the rubber band instead. And I remember being like, so you're okay with me hurting myself. You just want me to do it in a way that's more socially acceptable and comfortable for you, because my scars make you uncomfortable. But it's really not about stopping me from hurting myself. You're okay with that part. You just
Yeah.
you just want a less visible wound. And I always wondered about that. I mean, the good news is that it changes the behavior, but it doesn't change the underlying problem, right? Which is
Oh,
not being able to connect with the wonderfulness of who we are.
right. Right. It totally, because if you don't change the belief about yourself, nothing's going to change.
Right, exactly. And so most people are like, well, how do I, I have this belief, how do I change it? And that's where the tools that I use actually allow you to get the wisdom from an experience without having to relive it. So versus traditional trauma therapy, where it's like, hey, you go relive your trauma over and over and over and over again. It's kind of like desensitization therapy with bugs. No one is going to pay money to relive their traumas that they've spent years repressing.
Right.
Right. And so what we don't know is that there's actually ways to resolve it without having to relive it.
Wow.
And that's
See,
my
that is so interesting because most people feel that they have to relive it. They
oh
have to
dude.
go through all that experience again. And why would you want to do that? Like you said, why would you want to pay money to go through that experience twice? It was bad enough the first time.
And what's
You know?
interesting is that your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. If you
Mhm.
imagine something, your body, and you like, if you imagine something terrible happening, your heart rate actually speeds up. Your body actually releases stress hormones. It
Yes.
doesn't know, right? They've proven this in study after study. And so, if you're reliving that experience in your memory, your unconscious mind thinks it's happening now.
Yes.
And so you're reinstalling the problem over and over again, hoping that you'll have this aha breakthrough moment, and it can eventually happen. And most people don't make it that far because it's painful.
Yeah.
And so the other way to do it is to just get what we need to get without having to relive it, and then it resolves itself really quickly too. Right.
Wow.
So there's options out there. It's just it's not in the mainstream, even though it's been around like, well, hypnosis itself has been around for thousands of years, but
Mhm.
but other tools have been around for like a long time, like
Yeah.
decades. It's just not as
It's not as
lucrative.
accepted. It's not as accepted. And I think that that's one of the things. So, I'm from a science background, right?
Yep,
And you and I
same.
have talked about this. And I work with people that are like, all of this stuff is complete garbage. It's hooey. Why would you ever listen to it? Why would you ever? Because
That was
they,
me.
they grew up in a system where this is what they were taught. You have the problem now. Now, this is what we do to fix it. Here's the box. Please go in it.
Yep.
And that's how we're going to fix you. But that's not necessarily true,
No,
right?
and that was me. I grew up like I advanced, calculus, chemistry, biology, physics. My sister has a degree in forensic toxicology, so that was always around. I worked in animal hospitals and I loved all the pharmacology. Like I'm big into that. So I come from very much that left brain science dominant, prove it to me. I'm not going to just buy into
Yeah,
snake oil background.
right.
Right. And there's a lot of evidence for tools that work. There's just not a lot of publicity for it because there's not really a lot of people who have the means to. It's not even true. Everyone knows Tony Robbins. Everyone knows Oprah.
Yep,
They've been talking about this stuff for years, right?
that's
Right? It's not like it's new. It's just not being recommended by the traditional mainstream system yet. Although
where you
it's
go for
starting
help.
to come. Yeah, so it's there, it's pervasive. There's tons of evidence. It's always around. It's just not being perpetuated by the people who have at the moment the authority voice.
Right.
And it is starting to shift, but it shifts mostly. Again, I didn't believe in it until the system completely failed me. And there's a wonderful book called Mind Over Medicine by Lisa Rankin. And same thing, she's from that system, worked in hospitals as a doctor, very much, evidence-based medicine and double-blind studies and
Mhm.
pharmacology to rebalance. And then she got sick and the system failed her.
Mm.
And she had to look outside of it because she wasn't willing to give up. And when you look in one place, you don't find an answer, you look somewhere
Keep
else.
going.
And
Exactly.
that's how most of us get here. We follow the traditional system and we realize It's really good it stops you from driving off the cliff,
Mm-hmm.
which is really important because when your car is aiming Thelma and Louise style at a cliff, you need someone to stop the car. And so it's really effective at stopping the car. And then it leaves you in a place of just looking out over this cliff that you once were about to drive off of. And they're like, well, you're not driving over the cliff anymore. You should feel happy. And you're like, well, I mean, it's better, I guess. So I should just learn to be happy with this. But what we need to realize is there's a whole world behind us that's not that cliff.
Yes.
And so what I get to do is I get to come in and I get to teach people how to do a 3-point turn and how to drive their car and how to go wherever and how to read a map so they can go wherever they want. Right? That's my job. And so the traditional system is really good at what it does. It's just, it stops too soon in the process. It just stops too soon.
And there's not that follow through so that you can make that 3-point turn successfully and start living the life you were meant to lead.
No, that's not their problem. They don't care about your life being led to your maximum potential. They want to make sure you're not too sick and you don't die. That's the system's purpose.
Yeah.
If you're sick, fix it so you're not as sick. If you're going to die, make it so you don't die. That's what it was created for, and it's really good at that. And if that's what you need, that's perfect.
Yeah, and then they're done.
And then they're done.
Off you go. Off you go.
They don't have anything else. That's what they focused on. And again, they're super good at it. So it's just about knowing that there's other stuff that you don't have to stop at. I'm very much an advocate for better medicated than dead. Stop shaming yourself for needing antidepressants or any medication. They 100% saved my life, and I don't need them anymore. Right? If you need them, you need them, but know that there's more. There's other steps past that if you're thinking, I just have to be okay with where I'm at, that there are options available, that healing is possible, and that when we heal, the whole idea behind Live Life Unbroken, which is my company name, is the idea of the Japanese art form of kintsukuroi, which takes oh, really? So so in our society, if something breaks, we just kind of are like, well, I'll glue it back together and pretend nothing happened to it, try to hide it as much as possible, or we discard it and say, it's broken, I'll get a new one.
Yeah.
And in Japan, they would look at these broken pieces of pottery and they would put it together with molten gold, in essence, highlighting the scars, because they believe each piece is more beautiful for having broken and healed. And it's what makes it unique and beautiful. And what's really interesting is where they're put back together, they're actually stronger than before. In the same way that a broken bone is stronger where it has healed, these pieces are stronger in those spaces. And so you can't pretend they're whole anymore because they're not. We know that they're no longer broken. So they're unbroken, which means stronger than before. And so Live Life Unbroken is about stronger than before, it's not about never breaking. It's about putting yourself together with molten gold because it's beautiful, because that is what makes you your own unique, beautiful thing. And each time you become stronger than before, you become unbroken. And that's really the goal. I
like that. I really, really like that analogy because you're right. Are we broken? Not really. We're unbroken.
Yeah. No one's ever broken. No one's ever broken. We might feel that way. It 100% feels that way. And again, I actually had more than one doctor actually use that word with me, which I'm like, that's not cool. Right? But no one's ever actually broken. We're always in the process of creating who we are. It's not about, finding myself. I have to find myself. It's about asking, how do I want to show up in the world?
Yep. And the thing is, we're not going to stay the same our whole entire life. You're going to flow and ebb and change and move, and things are going to be a little bit different here, different career, different, some people second marriage, third marriage, whatever. Things change.
Life shapes us. Yeah. Life shapes us.
Yeah. And life throws stuff at you. Right.
Yeah.
And so I really like that analogy of being unbroken.
Yeah. Be stronger than before. Don't avoid pretending you have to put yourself back together and get back to something. Build something new and pretty with what you have, right? And if you're not sure how to do that, reach out to me. That's what, I offer one-on-one work. I do weekly healing circles that are free. So anyone who wants to come join me is always welcome. I have podcasts. I have whatever I can. There's lots of ways for people to get in touch with me and to start to create that change in their life.
So you are on Facebook.
I
And
am on
are
Facebook.
you on Instagram too?
Yeah. I have an account on Instagram. I don't post a lot of stuff because in the work that I do, it's either going to be selfies of myself or memes telling you about spirituality. And
Yeah.
coaches who do that are a dime a dozen. And if I don't have something unique to say, I don't want to do it. And
Right.
so there's nothing unique that I can do on Instagram. On Facebook, there's conversations that can have. I find Instagram's not about conversations. It's about I post something and people say, "Ooh, I like it."
Yes.
I like more conversations, right?
Yeah.
So
I like conversations like this one.
yeah, right.
It's
And you can go back and forth on Facebook. You can I just find you can search for conversations. I just find for what I do and for what I'm looking for, Instagram is So yeah, people can find me there. Sorry, I don't post that often. When I do, it's again a picture of me or a meme. Like there's really not much else to post. So I'm on Facebook. My
And you have a
website.
website as well, yes?
Yeah, I have a website, livelifeunbroken.com. I have a podcast, which is on iTunes and Spotify. It's called Bridging the Spiritual Gap.
Okay.
And we talk about everything through the lens of philosophy and psychology. We get into some uber wooey stuff like magic and how what that really is just goal setting, but how we describe it in the spiritual world as magic. It's using your intention to create some purposeful change in your life, right? But we talk about it from all angles. This last week we talked about why just when things are starting to go well in your journey and you're getting some momentum and all of a sudden like bam, crap goes sideways all of a sudden. And you're like, why does this keep happening? This whole idea of self-sabotage. We talk about that. We've talked about the moon. We've talked about goal setting and motivation. So we kind of cover the whole gambit. And that is recorded live. Sorry, my toe is cramping. I have to adjust my seat. Awkward. Every week we record what we talk about in Healing Circle, and so that becomes part of the podcast. So people can come to the Healing Circle Thursday nights and experience it live and ask questions, and then we do a guided meditation and gratitude practice after, and then people can also catch up on the podcast.
So the Healing Circle, is that something that's done on Zoom or?
Yeah, that is on Zoom every Thursday night at 8:00. It's 100% free. No RSVP is required. So I never know who's coming. It's always like a little party for me. Like, ooh, some weeks we have like 20 people. Some weeks we have 6 people. It all kind of depends on where people are. And
now, is that on your Facebook page as well? The Zoom link and the ID?
It is posted there, yes. Usually more on my personal profile, my business page. So I always tell people if you look for Live Life Unbroken on Facebook, you're going to find 2 options. You're going to find my business page, which has a little black and white graphic, and you're welcome to like that. And nothing really fun happens there because Facebook blocks everything I post. And so you don't see anything. And so it's frustrating. And I also have a group. So it's called Live Life Unbroken. It's got a little colorful icon and you can join that. And that's where we have all sorts of fun stuff. And I post every week about Healing Circle. And you can register for the link, which is livelifeunbroken.com/circle.
Okay.
And if you register, you'll get weekly reminders. And then I also send out recaps. So let's say you can't make it. You can still access my PowerPoint slides, all the information. So I send out recaps as well, which people like. They're like, I can't make it this week, but I still get to keep in touch. So, and all that is, like I said, 100% free.
That is amazing. Well, thank you for doing that. That is awesome because so many people need, especially this year and keep, even going into 2021, life is just, will it ever go back to normal? Who knows? At this point, we just have to keep going. And a lot of people have suffered this year, for sure.
Absolutely, for sure.
So having that option for free right now, that's beautiful.
Well, that's kind of how it was born, the COVID hit and everyone's was feeling just so disconnected. And I'm like, so pre-COVID, I was running retreats. It was a Revitalize Your Chakra retreat every May and every October, November. And it was where we got to do all this fun energy stuff that didn't fit into the other part of my business. That's why I got to break out all this fun stuff. And when COVID hit, and I'm like, people are like, what are you doing with the retreat? I'm like, I got to do something else. And so the Healing Circles were born as a way to connect. And what I found really interesting is that in this time when we all feel so disconnected, coming together even virtually, We still open the space with the same candle meditation that I use when we're live. And it's a chance to be with other people, to get a bit of a time out from the COVIDness of life, to
Yeah.
maybe learn something new and a new perspective and some new coping tools, right? There's always something interesting being talked about. To have conversations with people who are also kind of in that path, because it's tough in your daily life to have people where you can talk to them about this outside of there's group therapy, which no one loves. Want to sit around and complain about our problems endlessly? Yeah, that always makes me feel better. And if I get better, I can't be in the group anymore, because being in the group means I have the problem. And so I have an invested interest in feeling broken to stay in the group.
Yeah.
So
That's
a lot of people,
That's
right?
very true.
As soon as you get better, you don't fit in the group anymore. And then you lose all your friends. Like it's, again, it serves a purpose, but most people hate it. And so I wanted to create a group that it's not group therapy.
Yeah.
It's just a group where people come together. You don't have to share about personal stuff. You are welcome to lurk, but you have to be present. So I always say people have to have their cameras on. I like to run it as if we're actually gathering live and, actually connecting with each other in the circle. And there are people who, we've never met, and yet we're all connected, and it's really cool. And yeah, in this weirdness of the world, where it's a very interesting time to be a human, it's a good lesson to learn that distance doesn't have to mean disconnection.
Yes. And I think people more than anything right now are craving community. They're craving the belonging, because we're not able to see our friends. We're not able to see our families as much. We're trying to protect ourselves and everyone else around us by, being distant. So having that sense of community and belonging, I think, is huge in this time. Huge.
Yeah.
So,
They said to keep a distance. They didn't say disconnect. And I think that pre-COVID, we thought those two went together.
yes.
And I think we're learning how to flex this new muscle on how to connect while still having distance. And this is something the Reiki community has been talking about for years. They know about distance healing and distant energy and distant connection. And I think more and more people are starting to experience that now as well. And I'm excited for how that's going to move and change society in positive ways. I think there's some really good things that are going to come out of this. I think it's a hard part to live through. And, the only way out is through.
Yeah, that is true.
The only way out is through. Although recently I was told the only way out is in. I know, right? That's how I felt about that. I'm like, yeah, right. That one. And I'm like, I'm really aligning with that. And I think that's kind of sums up what I do in a nutshell. I help you go in. So if the only way out is in, then let's just find ways to get in. I never
thought of it that way. I more relate to the, only way to the other side is through.
Yeah.
But you're saying in. That's very interesting.
Yeah. When you go in, you can go anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
When you go through, you can only go in that one direction.
That's true.
Yeah.
You can pick door number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5,000.
Oh, you can create your own door. You can say, hey, there's a wall here. I want a door there. And you can make one. You don't even have to pick an existing door.
That's really cool. That's really cool. That's like an aha moment there, everybody. You can go in.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And if people, and then the question is, well, how do I do that when in also means facing all the demons? Because that's where I stuck all the stuff I don't like. And again, it's just about there's ways to clear that out without having to relive it.
Wow. So awesome. So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jen, for joining me on this lovely Sunday, rainy Sunday.
Yes.
Here on this episode of What Has Changed Your Life. If you want to reach out to Jen, I'm going to put in the comments her website. And then, Jen, if you want to put your other spots where people can reach you on Facebook, that would be great in the comments. And reach out to Jen if you want to try a different way and to do something a little bit different. Have a great Sunday, everybody. And thank you for watching this episode of What Has Changed Your Life.
Thank you so much. Bye.
You're very welcome.